Hey everybody! Hi. I know that it's been around 2 weeks since I've posted anything, but it's been even longer since I've filmed anything because I just needed a break, okay? So I don't know what to do, I don't know who to be, I don't know how to exist. I have been having a bit of an identity crisis as of late and only been reading dark romance and YA contemporary. Believe it or not, if you follow me on Goodreads/Bookstagram, you would probably know about this. And if you don't, you probably should. I'm way more active on there than I am over here, and you will get much quicker reviews in a much quicker time, okay? So with that being said, in these times of desperation and sadness, I reached out for help and posted a question thingy on my Bookstagram asking people basically to suggest videos for me to do. Sit down videos because I'm still not in the mood to vlog just yet. That Den of Vipers vlog took so long to do. If you haven't seen it yet, please do that. I worked hard on it. It was a fun time. It had plot twists. It had unexpected occurrences, my rating. I reached out to y'all for help and I was like, what videos do you want me to do? So the first video suggestion that I was most interested in doing was extreme horror books I want to read soon. And this isn't a TBR for August, okay? This isn't that. This is just a list of books that I would like to get read for the rest of the year. Books that you can hopefully expect to see in extreme horror vlogs, which is basically what this channel is made of at this point. So yeah, that's what's up. This list was requested by @marie.lovebooks, so thank you for the suggestion, and here's the list. So I'm just gonna go down the list, tell you the books I plan on reading, say a couple of things that I might know about the book, and then we're gonna move right along, okay? Okay, so the first one I want to read is The Resurrectionist by Raf James White. This is because I read Succulent Prey last year, and it was really up. Okay, it was out there. It was one of the most messed up things I've ever read, but also probably the funniest thing I've ever read. Typically horror comedy doesn't work for me, but in this case, it was just so out of this world bizarre. And it's like Raf James White didn't give a fuck when he wrote this book, and it shows, and I love it for that. And so apparently his most famous book is called The Resurrectionist, and it's super brutal, super gory, on so many most extreme horror, most disturbing books lists, and I just want to read this book now, like with a quickness, like right now. So the next one I want to read is The Bighead by Edward Lee, and I have had experiences with this author in the past. I read Header, which is one of the first extreme horror books I've ever read, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. The ending was so calculatedly sadistic that I wanted to cry and vomit, but also burst out in laughter. Okay, so that's that book. And basically The Bighead is about a serial killer in the Virginia backwoods who is probably supernatural based on what I could gather from the strange wording of the Goodreads synopsis. So yeah, they also said, disgust far beyond the limits of your reckoning. Never before has fiction dared to delve so deeply into perversion, sexual dementia, and bad taste. So I'm like, this sounds right up my frickin' alley. I need to read this right now. It needs to happen soon. It needs to happen, okay? If any of you have read this book, motivate me. Okay, the next 2 books are ones that I don't know anything about, and for good reason. These are Judith Sonnet's newest books. Yes, she's put out like 8 books this year. What the fuck? How do you write so much, girl? So she put out Satan, 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 which I think was pitched to me as a queer coming-of-age story slasher extreme horror, kind of resembles an Italian movie, so sounds pretty awesome to me. And then Chainsaw Hooker by Judith. This book is one of her shorter ones, based on what she told me. This cover is pretty fun, looks pretty good. I'm down. Based on what I have read from her so far, these are books that will deliver, and that I will go into knowing nothing, okay? There we go. So then, because I'm such a huge fan of her, I want to read her favorite book, and that book is Endless Night by Richard LAYMON, and I have never read a book by this person before. Apparently he's one of the biggest names in the extreme horror genre, gets mentioned with Jack Ketchum and all those people. So yeah, I desperately want to know what is up with this frickin' book. So we follow these 2 victims of a brutal massacre, and I think it's one girl and the 12-year-old brother of the girl's best friend who had been murdered. So yeah, these 2 characters escape this massacre, but then they're being pursued by this other guy who partook in the family's massacre, and the guy who's hunting them down is basically having his life and his family's life threatened. So you've got these two characters on the run, they're being pursued by someone, and that someone is being pursued by somebody else. So, endless night. I don't know if this whole thing takes place in one evening, but we shall see, and I am pretty scared. This sounds pretty intense. A thriller book that all happens in one night. I think the last 2 books I read that were like that were probably Survive the Night and Intensity by Dean Koontz. So it can really go either which way. I just sincerely hope that this book is as amazing as she says it is, okay? Because, like, I want to read good books. I want to be shocked. I want to be fucked up. So after Endless Night, I want to read Depraved by Brian Smith. So why do I want to read this book? Look at this cover. Like, duh. So this book is set in the backwoods of Tennessee, where a group of cannibals run a sex trafficking ring. Sounds like fun. So next, I will be pleased if I read The Marbled Swarm by Dennis Cooper. And the reason I want to read this is because I read Dennis Cooper's other book this year called The Sluts. This book inspired me so much that I did a full video just talking about how good it was. Originally, I gave it like a 4.5/4 stars, I think. However, recently, a couple people read this book, and I watched their reviews, and they said that it traumatized them, that it's one of the most disgusting things ever, that unhaul it, it's gross, it's vile, and I raised my rating to 5 stars because, I don't know, just watching people traumatized brings me so much joy. I don't know, it just made me love the book even more. Just seeing the visceral reaction, just seeing people get offended and pissed and grossed out. This book is effective. Perhaps the reason I was not as grossed out reading it is because I read extreme horror nonstop, right? So seeing some people who had not read from the genre have that reaction that I hoped I had had showed me that perhaps the problem was me and this book is as effective as my gut told me it was. So yeah, we're raising The Sluts to 5 stars, and I hope The Marbled Swarm, which has an even bigger reputation than The Sluts, impacts me with passion.
Passion. They're hammering me for my accent, and I had to sit there and try not to talk like a Chicagoan.
And fire. And trauma. We love that, okay? That's how you get 5 stars from me. That's how you do that. So next I want to read This Symbiotic Fascination by Charlie Jacob. And the reason I want to read this is because one of my favorite booktube channels here on booktube, and that would be Alex from the Bookybus, read this book back in last year, I believe, and she said that this was the best book she read last year. Also described to me as extreme horror. So basically, according to Goodreads, this book is about, it's a parasitic love story between a 37-year-old woman named Tawny and a man named Arkin. And this man that she's in love with is a murderer/rapist, and he is possessed by animal spirit forces. I don't know what that means, but I guess I'll find out, you know, when I pick this thing up, which will hopefully be at some point, maybe this month. I'm kind of curious. This sounds pretty fucking awesome. It's extreme horror, and that synopsis sounds incredible. So next I want to read The Slob by Erin Beauregard. So this book has also been hyped up to me in horror circles, and we follow this woman named Vera who had a very abusive childhood, and she lived in a very dirty area. So then she grew up to become a clean freak, and then eventually a door-to-door saleswoman. But eventually, our unsuspecting heroine knocks on the door of the wrong person and bears witness to evil that brings back ghastly memories from her past. Nastiness and uncleansable horror. So I'm like, this is gonna be disgusting. I'm in. Alright, so the cover of this book is incredibly disgusting, so this seems like it's gonna be a huge endurance test for me, but I can't wait. If it does what it does, and it does what it does well, she might get 5 stars. I don't know, we shall see. So I also really wanna read Into the Wolf's Den by John Athan, because I read several books by him this year, and all of them impressed the hell out of me, okay? Fucking lovesick, gross, but amazing. I read The Groomer, 5-star masterpiece. My twin, Meg, and I stand that book big time, okay? I also read Am I Beautiful? Good stuff, vlogged it. That finale was wild. So this time I want to read John Athan's book, Into the Wolf's Den, And I think Judith told me that this is her favorite John Athan book, and I cannot wait. So basically we follow this guy named Keith. He's a cop, and he sets out on this mission to find his daughter. 2 daughters? I'll find out when I read the book, okay? Alright, so Keith, poor guy. His daughters were kidnapped, and they were taken to this place called the Wolf's Den. So I'm gonna presume that bad shit happens. This book kind of sounds a bit to me like The Groomer in terms of how he's gonna be getting suspense. Like, I can only assume we're gonna spend a lot of time not knowing what's gonna happen to these 2 girls, and we're gonna be held in suspense. It's gonna be bad, but good. The cover is haunting, okay? This cover is intense. So yeah, next I want to read Live Girls by Ray Garton. I think this book was published in the 80s. I don't know what it's about. I just do see it here and there in extreme horror book lists, okay? The synopsis is kind of vague. We follow this guy named Davey. He's looking for some fun one night, bumps into this woman. The woman promises him a good time, but at the expense of his immortal soul. Ooh. This doesn't sound too interesting to me. I just see it pop up on many lists, and if any of y'all have read it and believe that I will love it, let me know. Okay, we'll see what's up. We will see what's up, okay? And then I want to read Dead Body Disposal by John Athan. So we follow this guy who helps his friend Max out, and he's helping Max out because Max killed a hooker in a hotel, and they're gonna try and dispose of her body. So we'll see how that goes. I also want to read The Black Form by Elias Witherow. I hope I got that name right. Not sure what this book is about. Was told to go in fresh. Also, Laws of the Skies. I heard that this was pretty intense, involving kids, so we'll see how that goes. And then these books were recommended to me by Judith. So Flesh Rehearsal by Brian Bowyer. This one's about a serial killer called the Lobotomizer who starts going after this girl named Gretchen who had just escaped this abusive situation at home. And then we also have Shotgun Nun by Harrison Phillips. I don't know what this is about, but it's a novella. I don't want to know what's gonna happen, okay? I just want to go in and experience this short but hopefully nasty story for myself. The cover kind of reminds me of Lindsay Lohan from that film Machete. That Robert Rodriguez film, the first one, when she's like a nun with a shotgun or something. It's intense, good stuff. I also want to read The Man Cave by Angel Jalique. This was recommended to me by Judith, and we follow these 2 women. One is Sophie, the other one is Amber, and they leave college to travel around looking for love. But instead they bump into this guy named Ben who locks them up in his garage and abuses them, so there's like torture and shit. And this premise kind of reminds me of the book The Summer I Died, which is one of my faves, but in this case it's gender bended. And I think the author is a woman. It would be interesting to see a female take on a book like The Summer I Died with female victims. Also, this book has very high ratings, and some of the reviewers also seem to be women. So I'm curious to see what happens. Clearly there is a lot to be expected with this one, so I'm curious to see how that goes. Next I want to read Malefic by Rain Havoc and Ash Ericmore. Basically this book is about these group of people who opened this summer camp where 20 years prior a gruesome murder happened or something, and then one of them discovers something, and according to Goodreads, sex descends into death, 80s slasher vibes. I don't know, this sounds like fun. Anyway, this list is going on forever, and I really could go on and on and on about books that I plan on reading. Oh wait, before the video ends, I forgot. I have to read American Psycho because I promised Meg I would buddy read this with her, so there you go. I think this one's gonna get a full video. I think I'm gonna do a full video on this one because this book is popular and I think a lot of you have read this book already. Also, I've never read anything by Bret Easton Ellis. He seems like a real cool guy. This cover is really nice, so there you go. So yeah, if you have any extreme horror suggestions that I, 1, have not read on this channel yet, and 2, were not on this list, comment them the fuck down below and they will probably happen. Maybe sooner than later, I don't know. If it sounds good, if I'm in the mood, I'm a mood reader, and I will hop on that shit, okay? I haven't done an extreme horror vlog in quite a while, and I do miss doing them. So please let me know as soon as possible which books on this you want to see me read, okay? So when I do return to form, which will hopefully be soon, I can know what you guys want, okay? So let me know what you want so I know what to start with, and with that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, leave a blood drop emoji. I'm trying this new thing, you know, boost the engagement, why not, right? So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in future videos, and as always, take care.
I lose myself